I don't know about everybody else, but this is how I've been doing these forms. There's a lot of different ways. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on how to do them, but I've been kind of thinking it through, and this is kind of how I do these. I set a couple of stakes, I level it, I got the laser level going. I started out, actually this was my grade stake here. It was the one that wasn't ever in the way, so it stayed. So that's what I set, used that for this, and would come back, and I always set the laser on the little receiver on there. So I started out at that end because I knew I was just going to let this one run wild down at the end. So see, it runs wild, runs a little bit past. That allows me to start out from that breezeway there and let that one, so that will run wild off the end of that. And then hopefully the same thing will happen on the other side. So ran this. This was my first run. Did this yesterday. Down. Made my corner this morning. I set up about 2 stakes just to get this level. I go back and forth. And the way that I've been doing it, I know you can pick them up, but by myself it's kind of tough to do all that. So what I've been doing is setting the board in underneath, using door shims. Basically just plastic door shims, and I kick them underneath the boards a little bit until I get them up level. That way I can level both ends, that end and that end. I can make sure everything's good so I don't have any kind of slopes. When those two look good, then I'll come back in and drive in the rest of the stakes. Something I kind of figured out after doing the other one is you put stakes in, you know, they're not perfect, and so you tend to kick out the board a little bit as you go. So the first one I did on the far corner, I didn't do that corner until the very, until the end, and it was hard to get to kind of overcome the angle that I had on the stakes. So this time I kind of learned from that, and this time I marked my board. See that mark there, and then I marked it down the front face. And this time I was able to kind of lean this board in and kind of make it join with that other board a little bit better. Alright, so I'll try to talk up. Hopefully you guys can hear me. But so this is the process for setting all the grades through here. So I did the first one, put my clamp on. I'll take the laser level, make sure it's on. Set it on one of these. Level it up. I already leveled it, so but the blue beep means it's good. So take that and clamp that off at that nearest stake, and so I set the clamp off to the side a little bit so that way I can run my screws in, and I also look a little bit to see which way the stake and the board are bowed, and see if I can fix that a little bit. So on drilling, I'd pre-drill all the stakes because otherwise they have a tendency to split. I mean, they're only 2 inches wide, and when you drive a screw in, they tend to split. Then the second thing I do is I drill on a couple of angles, and that way I'm not following a piece of grain or one particular. On some of these, the grains really kind of running with the stake, so I'll drill on an angle, and that does 2 things. I mean, for me, I just feel like it coming into the wood sideways is a better hold. It's not just relying on the threads of the screw, but it also has an angle to it, and it's harder to pull out. And so we'll go ahead and we check these, and I'll double check the back one now that I set this one, and I'll drill some holes and put some screws in. So yep, still good. So So that's that one. We'll do another one. Battery's done. Must be break time. So that's how I've been putting in the stakes and getting them all level and making sure that the board runs level going all the way down. So using the clamps and clamping it off where it needs to go. So